Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right. Hi there, my name is Roger Zemp. I am Chief Scientific Officer at CliniSonix and a professor at the University of Alberta. And I'm going to be talking about our ultrasound technology, which we feel will reimagine medical imaging. So some of you might be aware that medical ultrasound technology really hasn't changed that much in the last few decades. So CliniSonix is about to change this. We have some technology that we think will be really next generation type technology that just doesn't exist right now. So we develop and commercialize novel transducer systems for automated 2D and 3D ultra-fast micro ultrasound imaging. And we believe we have quantum leap improvements in resolution, sensitivity, speed, field of view, and AI field intelligence. So we have a new system architecture involving a new transducer technology called electrostrictive row column transducers. They're ultra thin. They contain no electronics in the probe. There are some additional biasing electronics that can be added on to existing ultrasound platforms. And then we have software-defined reconstruction on massive volumetric data, and then GPUs, graphical processing units, to unleash AI. So our vision is to develop and market a platform technology with many preclinical and clinical applications. And we're aiming to start with modest but achievable research ultrasound markets and partner with research ultrasound companies as we build capacity for beachhead clinical markets and aim to become a massively scalable company. So our technology involves a novel type of material. Let's just check here. Who here has actually had an ultrasound scan before? Okay, quite a few people, right? That tells you how pervasive the market is. So most of those transducers that you get scanned with are piezoelectric materials. These are different. They're based on something called an electrostrictive relaxer. There's some technical details here, like they have huge dielectric constants. But we make these from scratch, ground up in our nanofabrication facility at the University of Alberta. And what's interesting is that normally these two-dimensional arrays would require a wire to come out from every little element of the probe. But we have a row column architecture. So there's top contacts in rows and bottom contacts in columns. So we can read out from every element of this with addressing only the rows and columns. These are some pictures of the arrays that Mohammed here, our Chief Technology Officer, has built. They're ultra thin. Our first generation probes are comparable in size to commercial probes, but we get better resolution. And because of this row column architecture, we can scale these up to very large probes to image whole organs in a way that's never been done before. So our first generation product is for the ultrasound research market. So it involves a box of electronics and an adapter plate that connects to a research ultrasound platform. We don't make the ultrasound platform. Lots of other people have these. There's thousands of these out there. And then we make the transducer and the electronics. These are some images of the transducers that we make, including some that are getting to be very large and unprecedented in size. And these things just don't exist on the market right now. These are just a sneak glance of what are some of the electronics that are inside the boxes. So there's a lot of intellectual property that we have about the electronics. and the way that we use the electronics, as well as the arrays and the architecture and the way we use the arrays. So the current technology involves a lot of user-dependent two-dimensional scanning, as a lot of you have experienced. Our vision is to have automated 3D scanning of massive volumes, as well as longitudinal imaging with wearables, because we can do that. Current technology is handheld. We have the option of handheld, flat panel, or wearable transducers. Current technology has poor resolution. We can get about 10 times better volumetric resolution for the same operating frequency because of the way we do things. Currently, you get real-time 2D images. We can do volumetric imaging at up to thousands of volumes per second, which means you can track things like blood flow everywhere in a volume, which is some of those cool images I showed you at the beginning. Current technology has poor sensitivity to flow, especially weak flow in microvessels. We have about 50 times improved flow sensitivity. And currently, you have to do different scans for different modalities. And because of what we can do, we can co-register and co-combine scans, like combining X-ray mammography with ultrasound. So we can go ultra-fast 3D volumes at tens to up to 1,000 volumes per second. These are pictures of like cysts with some of the current technology that's quite blurry, all the way up to our new technology, which is much more clear, better resolution and clearer images. These are scans, volumetric scans of mouse brains. So we're at the micro scale to be able to scan really tiny structures. We have the potential to massively use AI, whereas current technology is limited in that. Again, we can go really fast, automated scanning, with automated biometrics, potential for longitudinal imaging. Like if you want to track someone's heart over time, you'd have to stand there with a probe. It's just too expensive to have a sonographer or a doctor to do that. All right, and currently, you just get a single view at a time, whereas we can potentially get multiple views, multiple patches all at the same time. So we are competitive. There are other volumetric probes in the research ultrasound market. There are other row column arrays. They can only image directly beneath the shadow of the aperture. We can image beyond, and our image quality is much better than theirs. This is another type of volumetric probe in the research ultrasound market. It has 32 elements by 32 elements, and it has very bad resolution. That's them compared to us, so much better resolution. Now this is us compared to commercial probes and systems like from GE and Philips. This is our resolution, this is their resolution. Our resolution, their resolution. Our image quality, their image quality. These are high frequency probes meant for small animal imaging. Our resolution beats theirs and can go a lot deeper. So we can do micro ultrasound at clinical depths. More examples of this. Current probes are limited in footprint. Sometimes that's needed, like to get through acoustic windows in the ribs, but other times when you can have a bigger probe getting to really big volumes. Plus, we have much better resolution in deeper tissue. So our technology enables advanced imaging modes and AI developed in the research ultrasound community. These are some images from our partner groups. And some from us. And to be scaled, most of them were developed in 2D. We can scale to 3D and 4D in clinical volumes. like we've never been able to do before. I'm not going to go through all this SWOT analysis, but basically we have a competitive technology that we think can beat some top tier ultrasound companies. And we're still very new though. Some of our IP is still pending. There's a lot of opportunity to scale this massively, but this is not my first rodeo. I have done different startups before, and I have some wisdom in the importance of getting as far as you can before raising money. So we have a large number of patents, some granted, some pending, in different stages. Years 1 to 3, we aim to make these minimum viable products in the research ultrasound market and small animal imaging markets, where there's less clinical barriers to translation, and partner with research ultrasound companies and get as far as we can. So some of the companies we're aiming to partner with that we're in discussions with, CliniSonix. They are a leader in research ultrasound platforms. They have about 45 million per year revenue. They have about 1,000 systems worldwide, and about a third of those customers would want stuff that we have, that we can provide. There's another such company, S-Sharp, that we're working with, that we've started building interfaces for. And there's, you might have heard of VisualSonics that builds small animal imaging platforms. So I was on the scientific advisory board for them. And so we're in discussions for developing preclinical products for them to improve their way of doing volume imaging. So the first few years will be this preclinical markets where we develop these bits and pieces for that market on our way to developing a clinical platform. And we have different clinical things in the pipeline. We have Innovate funding to look at atherosclerotic plaques. So if you can sense if a plaque grows more than about 10% in volume from the last scan, it's a vulnerable plaque and you got to do something about it. But current technology can't do it. So we think ours can. We're working on these wearable patches for multiple views of the heart. We're also working on tumor margin imaging. So 20 to 60% of surgeries need a repeat surgery because they don't get all the cancer out. And ultrasound's been shown to reduce the number of repeat surgeries by about a factor of 5. But clinicians just don't have the patience to use it. So if we can develop this as an automated way, it's a big deal. And then we're working on combining ultrasound with mammography to get the same co-registered scan with ultrasound at the same time with mammography. And then we're also working on, this is not my work, but it's amazing. You can get coronary vasculature in a beating heart, and people have only been able to do it in preclinical models. So we think our technology can take this to humans. And then we also have, so a few of those are multi-million-dollar kind of projects. This one's there's a new US funding agency called ARPA-H. We're shortlisted for a project to image lymphatics. So CliniSonix would have a $2 million subcontract if that's awarded. So this is our team. There's me, Will Gibson. He's done, this is his 4th startup. Mohammed, our chief technology officer, the transducer technology is his baby. Afshin developed all the electronics. And then we have 6 MyTax interns, and we're just getting started. So our ask, we're looking for pre-seed investors who can act like a bank with some reimbursable investment, because we have a few reimbursement programs. We can spend up to $1.2 million and get it all back in the next year or so. And then an investor that could bring more than money. We're also looking for a new CEO. Will be our interim CEO. So we'll look for a CEO to help grow us further. and angel investors to raise about $1.6 million in the next few years. So I'll stop there.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Roger. Okay, so we have time for a couple of questions. We're just running a little late again, but if anybody has any questions in the audience or virtually, please let us know.